Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Talk with Hawk podcast. I am Hawk, and it is a gorgeous week this week as we are gearing up for the 2024-2025 NFL season. Everything is starting to sizzle. We're getting those glowing red embers in the bottom of the fire as we start cooking everything, getting everything going. And right now, you've got all the predictions and the speculations and all these different stories. And that's where we're going to open up today. I just want to get straight into it. The coin flip is simply this: personalities on TV talking about football, whether college or pro. Come on. Some of these shows, some of these takes, some of these viewpoints, I can't help but wonder if the producers are manipulating and creating this edginess, this this diversion in here, this divisiveness, just to be able to get views and maybe get put on a TikTok or a YouTube short. Like, seriously. I don't understand people that need to do that. I do not blame the ones that have the views. If they're told by the producer, their job, that they need to do this, how many of us do? Let's just be honest. Come on. I know there's some of you out there that are outrageously, you're just better than the rest of us. You're like, nope, I don't care. If I never felt like doing it, no matter what my boss said, I didn't do it. Yeah, you did. You have. If it didn't go morally against what you believed, if it wasn't illegal, we did it. We do it. Keep our jobs. Kind of need money to pay for things in this life. They're doing the same thing. My beef is with the producers. My beef is with people that believe they have to create an edginess to actually be wanted to be watched, wanted to be heard. Don't we have enough edginess in everything else we do? You can't go through the drive-thru at McDonald's without edginess now. Everybody's got a chip on their shoulder. Do we really need edginess in football too? We all know it. Dak Prescott is not a number one quarterback in the NFL. He's not. He doesn't deserve to be paid top 5. I will very much stand on the rock if he doesn't deserve to be paid top 10 money. But you got all this other stuff. What has he done? He's been bailed out. And then when it comes time to really show up, I don't know where he goes. The Denver Broncos, I've loved some of the honest takes about Sean Payton. I love Sean Payton as a coach, and I think Bo Nix is his next Drew Brees, so I want to be very clear about this. But the reality is, I can't put him as one of the top 10 best coaches in the NFL. He's really struggled since coming back. Yeah, some of it was out of his control. I get it. But right now, I mean, there's a lot of good young coaches there in the NFL. A lot of really good motivators for what needs to be done. So I think he's kind of dropped down the list a little bit. Now, could he jump back up if Bo Nix turns into Drew Brees 2.0? Absolutely. But for right now, I think he could be 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Any of those positions, I'd say, okay. He's not a top 8 coach in the NFL. So let's turn the prism for just 60 seconds. In life, don't make drama where there isn't drama. Don't be edgy just to be edgy. Yeah, I know. You're like, Hawk, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Listen, football teaches us about life too. Life teaches us how to play football. Football teaches how to be able to play life. Don't be edgy. Don't be drama unless there is drama. And if there is drama, squash it, tackle it, sack it, intercept it so it doesn't become a problem. All right. I said at the end of the last podcast we were going to jump over to the NFC East because we were going to go back and forth in the divisions as we go through the depth chart training camp projections as of right now. Keep that in mind. This is right now. This is not, the cuts have not taken place yet. I'm trying to get all these podcasts in before the final cuts take place. And trades and whatnot. Trades are probably going to happen, and we'll talk about those as they come up. But today we're going to go over what is my favorite team with the stupidest name in the NFL and the worst logo. There is not a worse logo. There is not. There is not a worse logo than the Washington Commanders. A W, really? Like, come on. A W. I mean, for goodness sakes, at least the Rams have an LA with the horns. Their helmets are still horns. You're a W. Like, that's okay for college, the Washington Huskies. You're Washington, D.C. You're not the state of Washington. You're Washington, D.C. Like, give me a break. All right. Rant over. They got to fix the name. They are going to do so. They're still working on naming rights for the stadium, working on moving. They're working on doing a bunch of stuff. Harris has smart people in the building. I believe it will be a very well-run franchise for the future, and I am excited. I am pumped for what this team will be because they absolutely nailed this draft. And they absolutely nailed free agency. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The quarterback starting out with Jaden Daniels, who I believe is a very big resemblance to he's kind of like the Will Levis of last year's draft. He got drafted where he belonged, surprisingly. He's got all the starts. Not really that great because LSU hasn't been great. So, not all the necessarily the notoriety, but he's good. And I like him. And I was thrilled when Washington was able to draft him. I was really happy they didn't go Drake May. I felt if they went Drake May, they were going safe over the potential risk with Jaden Daniels. Backup is Marcus Mariota. Jeff Driscoll is third, and Sam Hartman is still there on Washington as currently the fourth string. The running backs. This one slightly bothers me. I know it slightly bothers me. Let me stress slightly. I love Brian Robinson Jr. I believe he is a very good Um, starting back, very good starting back. But they had a chance to get Austin Eckler. Now, Eckler has injury issues, plenty of injury issues. So they're probably going to need Brian Robinson. They probably will. They will probably need Brian Robinson, hands down. Hands down, we'll need him. So he'll get his time. But the running back room in this team, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson Jr., Chris Rodriguez, and then Jeremy McNichols. Chris Rodriguez is a solid backup, let alone third string. So I like where we're at. All right, so then we go to the wide receivers. They did lose Curtis Samuel, so we got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown, Zacchaeus, Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder has been with Washington before, and he is back with Washington. To me, he is there to help Terry McLaurin with the veteran presence in the wide receiver room. Young guys, take some pressure off McLaurin of having to help the young guys so that McLaurin can focus more on building that chemistry with Daniels. Crowder can help Dotson, McCaffrey, Zacchaeus. He can do that. T-Mac needs to focus on that relationship with Daniels, and I think it will be a very good combo. Look for McLaurin to get, I'm going to say 12 touchdowns this year. 850 plus yards. I don't know how the offensive line is going to hold up, and we're going to get there in a second. So, tight ends upgraded the tight end as well. They've got Zach Ertz, and then they also drafted Ben Sano from Kansas State. John Bates is the third string. Then you got the offensive line. I believe this is where some of the questions are right now. Brandon Coleman, left tackle, backup Cornelius Lucas. Then you got left guard Nick Algetty. And that's not a question mark necessarily with skill. It's only a question mark because of legitimately like health at this point. But Chris Paul is backing up Algetty. Tyler Biadasz, who I really, really like, is backed up by Michael Dexter. Then we got Sam Cosmi, underrated, very underrated right guard. I like it. I like him being there. His backup is Mason Brooks. And then we got Andrew Weil, the right tackle, as of right now, backed up by Trent Scott. So all in all, really, I'm looking at the offensive line being the true only main question mark right now. And yeah, it's really my only question mark. I've got to, if I have to have a second one, we'll get to that in a second, because it's not the defensive line. It is not the defensive line. The defensive line is still a 4-3. Still a 4-3. And this is where we're at now on this defensive line. Clelin Ferrell is the backup to Dante Fowler Jr. You have, oh my gosh, the defensive tackles on this team, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, they've been stalwarts. This is like Marcus Stroud and John Henderson for the Jaguars. They've been stalwarts with Washington. They picked up Jair Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois. He's backing them up. Phildress Mathis is also backing them up. They got John Ridgeway backing up the backup. They've got some depth. Dorrance Armstrong, Andre Jones Jr., that is your right defensive end. Then they went out. On top of this, they upgraded their linebacking core. They went out and they got Frankie Louvu. Then they got Bobby freaking Wagner. And they got Jamin Davis as the strong side linebacker. Backups are Anthony Pittman, Jordan McGee, Keandre Jones. Now, if there is one place where I'm going to say is potentially the second area of weakness, it's the secondary. Emmanuel Forbes Jr., Michael Davis backing him up. Jeremy Chin, the strong safety, with Jeremy Reeves backing him up. Derek Forrest, the other safety, the free safety, with Percy Butler backing him up. Then you have Benjamin St. Justy with Christian Holmes backing him up. Then you got Quan Martin with the rookie Mike Salmonstill backing him up. Now, I guess I kind of need to rescind that. I don't like their kicker, really. I hope it works. I'm probably going to be wrong. Tressway is their punter. Love their punter. Ramiz Ahmed is their kicker. Ramiz Ahmed. And just for you, because I know you're probably sitting over there going, what? He went to Nevada. Okay? Went to Nevada. I don't know. I don't know. I think the kicker with a rookie quarterback and the offense the way that it could be, I think kicker is a vital part to this team. And I honestly don't think they're really taking it seriously enough. Just saying. Just saying. But all in all, this team, the defensive line, absolutely stout. Linebacking core, good. Veteran presence, smart. There is a lot of smart people in the front seven of the defense. Back end is a slight concern. They got some playmakers, but not consistency. I'm looking for the consistency, and I think they can grow into it. Dan Quinn can probably get it out of him. Dan Quinn, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Dan Quinn can easily get it out of him. But that's the consistency that I'm worried about. Skill positions, Daniels, Eckler, Robinson, McLaurin, Dotson. Crowder is the second one. McCaffrey, Zach Ertz. Skill positions, fine. The number one concern, offensive line. Offensive line. How fast can they gel? How fast can they get their protections down? How fast can they get everybody on the same page to be able to protect Daniels? Will they be able to protect Daniels? That's the question. But I think defensive line, you're good. Defensive line is good. Linebacking, good. Skill positions, good. Number one concern, offensive line. The second concern, slightly secondary. But the secondary consistency more than the skill that's on it. All right, so that's the Washington Commanders. Now, since some of you may have been watching the Hard Knocks series with the Giants, it's been bad. It's been bad. Not many people are really excited about the Giants' future. I'm sorry to laugh, but just watching some of the clips that are available, John Mara looks like he's ready to fire everybody except Brian Dable. John Mara looks like he's ready to make Dable GM, scout, vice president. He looks like he's ready to give him every hat in the building because he's the only one that seems to make any sense. So now with all that, I the team ain't much better. I really don't like how the team's set up. And Brian Dable, I believe, is an absolutely fantastic coach. Look what he was able to do with Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones is a scrub. Tommy DeVito, like, come on. What he was able to do, what he can do, outstanding. I think he's a fantastic coach. And I think if he were to get fired from the Giants and go back to Buffalo, Buffalo would win more. I really do. I really think Dable is that good of a coach. And if you've got a quarterback in his first 3 years, a position that's open next year. If you guys remember my, end of season stuff, I think the Saints are going to be bad. I think they're going to be horrible. Allen, I believe, is going to be fired pretty quick, and Brian Dable, to me, would fit New Orleans. They're going to need a new quarterback. They're going to need a new direction. But they're also very smart in the building. Financial guys are smart. They understand contracts. They kick the can down the road, and it bit them in the butt just like it does every other team. But enough about Dable, because I go off because I love Brian Dable. The Giants roster as a whole, maybe a C-. So this is where we're at right now. Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito are your 3 quarterbacks. Your starting running back is Devin Singletary. I like Singletary. I really do. I like Singletary. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do much this year. And he's going to have to stay healthy. His backup is Eric Gray. And then behind Eric Gray is Tyrone Tracy Jr. Then you've got all these receivers. The number one being Malik Neighbors, who could be a wasted talent just like Saquon if they're not careful. Or he could be Odell Beckham Jr.-esque. Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, injury-prone, worthless receiver at this point. Wan'Dale Robinson, Allen Robinson II, Isaiah McKenzie, and Jalen Hyatt. Those are your 6 receivers right there. Doesn't give you a lot of confidence. Number 1, in health. Number 2, just straight up skill. Like Allen Robinson, I like for this team more as just the possession receiver. Give me a 4-yard hitch route for me to have Neighbors run a corner behind. They're going to think it's going to Neighbors, and you just get your catches. Your yards per catch are going to be 5 or 6. That's what I'm looking at out of Allen Robinson. Just be my possession guy. Tight end Daniel Bellinger is good. Theo Johnson backing him up, and Jack Stoll backing them up. Then you have the offensive line. The left side, Andrew Thomas, Jermaine Eluemunor, The left side is fine, backed up by Matt Nelson, Aaron Stymie. Then you got the center, John Michael Schmitz Jr. The right guard is John Runyon, and the right tackle is Evan Neal. John Runyon and Evan Neal, it's going to be health for both of them. The center, not necessarily my favorite, but you can work with it. Now, defensively, this is going to be where it gets really interesting. And why I say it's going to get really interesting is there's pieces. It's just how the unit's going to play. Pieces. But as a whole, is it going to work? So left defensive end is going to be DJ Davidson. They do run a 34. Dexter Lawrence and Jordan Phillips are your two defensive tackles. Then you've got Rakeem Nunez Roches, which used to play for the Colts, and Ryder Anderson backing him up. Then you've got the bigger additions. You've got Brian Burns. You've got Bobby Okereke. You've got Micah McFadden and Kayvon Thibodeau. My thought on this is really simple. Really simple for the Giants. Scratch the 34. Just scratch it. Bring Jordan Phillips up to the main level of defensive tackle. Move Nunez Roches back to a second string defensive tackle. And start Kayvon Thibodeau on one side, Brian Burns on the other. Don't worry about the oversized, undersized crap. Give Isaiah Simmons the other start at the linebacker position, probably the weak side. Let Okereke and Micah McFadden with Isaiah Simmons run around. That's a fast linebacking group. I think the front seven is okay. The front seven, the linebacking core is, linebacking core is good. It's quick. It's smart. It's got some power. The linebacking core is all right. But I don't like the fact that the front three really aren't going to be much help. I just don't see it. And then your back end, Tyler Nubbin is a safety. Jason Pinnock is another safety. Young guys. Jalen Mills is a backup. Elijah Riley is the backup. Your corners. Your backups are Drew Phillips, Aaron Robinson, Trey Hawkins. Your starters, Trey Herndon, journeyman, Deontay Banks, Cordell Flott. Sorry, Flott. Yeah, no, Flott, I was right. F-L-O-T-T, Flott. Your secondary is what scares me. They're young, but they scare me. I think they're going to get roasted. And I really don't think there's anything a defensive coordinator can do about it right now. They're just not ready. It's another young team. We're going through two young teams right off the start. Only difference is Washington made great use of all that cap room they had heading into the offseason and really shored up some massive holes that they had. They did a great job. Can't fault them for that. They did a fantastic job. Pops up tomorrow, they do it again. They got to. It's what they're supposed to do. Their kicker, Graham Gano, solid, not great, solid. Don't make him go anywhere. And Jamie Gillen. So, all in all, offensively, once again, the skill position is actually kind of what bothers me. Besides Neighbors, Singletary is good, not great. Besides Neighbors, what do they have at the skill position? The offensive line, if the right side of the offensive line is healthy, will be fine. It's going to be, can they catch? Can they run a route? Can they run through the line of scrimmage? Can they get the ball down the field? That's going to be the question. Defensively, the linebacking core is amazing. You've got two defensive tackles that are really solid. Jordan Phillips is really good in his own way. He's very good. Very solid as a second defensive tackle in a 4-3. But they're running a 34. I'm wondering if they're going to switch to a hybrid by the time it's all said and done, and realizing that Kayvon or Brian needs to have their hand in the dirt each play. Run a 34, but then switch who puts their hand in the dirt each play. Play games. It works. But that secondary is so young. Secondary is so young. They'll grow into their own, but this is going to be a lot of growing pains. A lot of growing pains. The division isn't done yet, so not going to do my placing, not the record, but the placing prediction at this point. So, the way that these two teams have gone about the last, well, really you can only judge the Commanders off of this last year. The Giants, their mistake was Daniel Jones. Now, they get out from underneath it. He will not be the quarterback next year. They get out from underneath it. Cutting him is only $22 million dead cap. Not $50 that he's currently against the cap right now. He won't make it another year. Not at all. So with that being said, this past year, how Washington has been run, how Washington ran the offseason, looks really promising. Based off of Hard Knocks and the roster in general in the last 3 years, the Giants don't have much hope. They still have stuff that's going to restrict them another year if they were to clean up all the mess this year. They'd still be outrageously restricted next year. Washington's free. They spent the money and they spend it smart and willingly. They took care of issues in free agency that they knew they couldn't take care of in the draft. And then in a 49er type of way, drafted a defensive tackle I thought was actually the best defensive tackle in the class. Could have argued either way. Either way, drafted a defensive tackle. When you already had two stalwarts, but now if one gets injured, you've got your rookie there that's ready to go. So honestly, smart move. I like the way Washington's being run. I like what the future holds for them right now. Future is bright in Washington, D.C. Not sure where they're going to move to, but for now, they're in Washington, D.C. And the future, not sure you can see one in the New York area with the football Giants. Just don't see it. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a fantastic afternoon. Hope it is everything that you want it to be. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, that like button, ring that notification bell to be able to help the analytics as we work on growing the podcast. For Sports Talk with Hawk, guys, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.